The Karate Kid franchise has definitely been through its ups and downs over the years. There was the classic 1984 original, the surprisingly decent sequel, the lame third movie that ran out of ideas, the failed attempt to kick off a new trilogy with a new protagonist, and the one we don't talk about anymore. But then, 6 years ago, Cobra Kai spin-kicked its way onto the scene and surprised everyone, myself included, by not just continuing the story of the Karate Kid movies from a different perspective, but also turning out to be a pretty great show in its own right. It was funny, nostalgic, compelling, and it walked that perfect line between earnest drama and self-aware tongue-in-cheek satire. But all good things have to come to an end, and if I'm honest, it was probably a good thing when they finally called it quits. But hey, when there's a money-hungry studio involved and a franchise with the faintest whiff of life still left in it, you can pretty much guarantee they'll churn out a quick cash grab movie to capitalise on the momentum. And wouldn't you know it, along came Karate Kid Legends, which is billed as a kind of Avengers movie for the franchise, uniting the different narrative strands and movies and amalgamating them into one continuity. But is it the martial arts masterpiece that we all hope for, or does it fall flatter than Zendaya's chest? Well, step into the drinker's dojo and I will teach you. The short answer is that Legends is a weird fucking movie. I know that's a strange thing to say about a film like this, but there's so many baffling decisions that went into it, I'm genuinely struggling to understand the thought process behind it. And that's not even to say it's a bad film or that I hated it, just that by the end, I'm not entirely sure what was accomplished. Anyway, allow me to explain. The film begins with Lee Fong and his mum, who moved from China to New York to start a new life there after Lee gets into, well, trouble back home. Pretty soon Lee strikes up a friendship with Mia, who works at a local pizza place with her dad Victor, a former boxer. The problem is Victor owes money to a local loan shark, and when he finds out that Lee knows Kung Fu, he asks him to train him for a comeback fight to help pay off his debts.
Right.
Now, I'm no fighting expert, but I'm pretty sure that Kung Fu doesn't translate all that well into a boxing ring. And even if it did, you're like 50 years old, mate. Do you really think you're still gonna cut it against guys half your age? Ah, whatever. So, to the surprise of no one, he gets his ass beat, and that's basically the end of his story. You know, the thing that's eaten up a good 20 or 30 minutes of screen time so far.
Fuck.
But while all this has been going on, Lee also starts up a rivalry with Johnny Lawrence. Sorry, Connor Day, a local bully and ex-boyfriend of Mia's who challenges him to fight in a local karate tournament. Because, of course, a strictly controlled, points-based, heavily refereed fighting tournament where they might not even get a chance to fight each other is definitely how teenage guys settle their differences these days.
Not a great plan.
Anyway, then Jackie Chan shows up from China to help train Lee for the fight, even though his mum doesn't approve, but he's like, I'm Jackie Chan, bitch, the whole world is my dojo. But he can't do it alone, so Jackie Chan travels all the way to California to get Daniel LaRusso to help him, even though he's never met the guy before and knows very little about him, because he's a student of Mr. Miyagi, and so I guess he just knows everything that Mr. Miyagi knew. You know, I can't help thinking this whole movie would have been a whole lot easier if it was just set in California. Ah, whatever. So there's the usual training montage and the big tournament comes around, but will Lee be able to triumph over his arch nemesis, win the girl of his dreams and save her dad's restaurant? I mean, it's a Karate Kid movie, not $1 Million Baby. What do you think's gonna happen? I said before, there's a lot of stuff about this film that confuses me, and one of the biggest problems is how the narrative focuses on the weirdest of things. Victor's training and boxing comeback is a huge part of Act 1, but then it all just kinda stops when he gets injured, and the film awkwardly has to switch gears to focus on Lee again. And considering it's only like 90 minutes long to begin with, that is a lot of screen time to waste on a character that isn't important. It also means that actual important characters like Daniel and Connor don't get the time and space they need to develop. Connor's a baddie because the script says he is, but we barely spend any time getting to know what drives him, and he only interacts with Lee like a handful of times in the whole movie. Their rivalry feels obligatory and artificial rather than organic because the script needs it to happen. Daniel doesn't even show up until like 2/3 of the way through the film, and he's given so little to do that it feels like this script started life as a sequel to the 2010 Jaden Smith movie and only got rewritten late in the game to exploit the success of Cobra Kai. Speaking of which, what really surprised me about Legends is that it basically ignores that show completely. Apart from a little cameo right at the end, there's no characters or references to it at all, which is weird because I'm pretty sure this film wouldn't even be happening without Cobra Kai. Nobody out there was desperate to see Jaden Smith pretending he could act again. Performance-wise, the movie is fine, I guess. Lee and Mia are likeable enough, the two actors have decent chemistry together, and it's all pretty wholesome and harmless. Lee himself is a bit bland as a protagonist though. Say what you want about Ralph Macchio, but he brought a ton of personality and vibrant energy to LaRusso in the original movie, and Lee just seems kind of flat and forgettable compared to him. Jackie Chan, on the other hand, is a true legend of cinema. He's always entertaining to watch, and even though he's in his 70s now, you just know he could still beat the shit out of most guys half his age. He fits neatly into the wise mentor role now, and his scenes with Lee and Daniel are good fun to watch. I just wish there was more of it. Ultimately, I can't say I was exactly disappointed in this movie, because I never had any expectations to begin with, but I was confused by the choices that it made. If you're a big fan of the Karate Kid franchise, then it's a decent, undemanding, and safe kind of film that does nothing particularly groundbreaking or controversial. The fight scenes and choreography are impressive enough to entertain you, and at just 90 minutes long, it definitely doesn't overstay its welcome. I just wish it had a bit more to say for itself. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.